Hopefully you noticed that we dropped the ads. No more of those to introduce the show because we are pretty sure that all of you just fast forward through them anyway. We also dropped the introduction that we had been using that was produced by my father. Dad had nothing to do with you. We just thought it might be good to provide a little bit of a preview of each episode as the intro to these podcasts. For today's episode, Jay and I got back together. We went to Barquentine Brewing in Edgewater, Colorado, just one of the little enclaves of the greater Denver metro area. We talked to Kyle Knudson. Kyle is one of the co-founders and co-owners of Barquentine. They opened up in February, into February actually, and then had to close down about 15 days later because of COVID-19 concerns. So of course we talked about that. We discussed how they're opening back up, the stuff that we've been covering for the last few weeks on the show. But we also got into some really deep conversation about what craft beer is doing for the Black Lives Matter movement, how craft beer is supporting the Pride Month, all of these things that tend to intersect so often with craft beer in ways that people accept, in ways that people think maybe fall short, in ways that people appreciate. We covered a lot of ground. We tried to be thoughtful. We tried to be mindful in these conversations, in our critiques, in our celebrations, and all of this. It's still a fun interview. It's not going to make you sad. It shouldn't depress you too much. But just know that it was what we like to think is an intelligent conversation. And that was all Kyle. That had nothing to do with Jay and I. That we don't bring much intellect to the show. With that said, we hope that you'll enjoy the show. If you want to learn more about Unfiltered, you can go to unfilteredcraft.com. All of the video, audio of previous podcasts is up there. You can find our socials. We'd love to have you follow us. With that, I will stop plugging our pluggables and turn it over to Kyle Knudson of Barquentine Brewing. Enjoy. I was going to introduce Kyle, but I wanted to, let everybody know that the band is back together for sure.
We got
nice.
Another one of these teed up for next week.
We do, yes. Where are we going? Spice Trade.
Yeah,
next week.
I was supposed to be at Spice Trade yesterday, and somebody canceled.
It looks really nice. Kyle Knudson. Did we say that correct?
You nailed it. Yeah, it's rare that you get that KN sound.
Well, have you seen the movie The Big Lebowski?
Of course.
Sam J has based his lifestyle on the Big Lebowski.
But that's Bunny is Bunny Knudson. It's with a T, not a D. But he goes, "Who the fuck are the Knudsons?" he's got the bug, right? And he comes like he's stoned, and he goes up to the VW bug, and what are you doing? Why are you following me? Oh, I'm here by the Knudson family. Who the fuck are the Knudsons? So
kind of nailed that whole scene.
No,
yes, he did. Yes, he did.
My wedding ring is engraved with the Big Lebowski quote. So
no shit.
Have I never told you that?
No.
Yeah. So I got to remember what mine says. Catherine would kill me.
It really ties the room together.
Let's see. Yeah. So Catherine's, my wife, says "fuck it, dude," and mine says "let's go bowling," and it's engraved.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I'm on my third, fourth, fifth wedding ring, so
yeah, you can see it on the inside
this is
there.
my third.
Yeah, that's why I started going with the rubber ones.
Didn't plan on going down this route,
That's
but
hilarious, dude. It's called Unfiltered for a reason.
No. I mean,
Let's get back to Kyle.
The Big Lebowski title.
Let's talk Barquentine Brewing. I even look at this, Jay. God, you're gonna be impressed. I got a little notepad like a fucking reporter. Hey, say, Kyle, you went 3 for 3 today out there,
Where's
kid.
your pencil? Yeah, you need a pencil behind your ear.
We're in Barquentine. We're at Barquentine Brewing. Is it Barquentine Brewing Company? Is that correct?
Barquentine Brewing Company is the full name. Yeah.
Okay. Have you done a podcast before?
No.
This is your first
yes,
one?
Yes, I have. No, I have.
Who?
I did Sunday Session Brewing Network.
I don't know who the fuck those guys are.
Never heard of them.
No.
That doesn't mean
they don't matter.
It's like a little thing. I don't even know if they're still around, but
they probably couldn't make it through quarantine.
I know. We bought the Zoom membership.
We pivoted.
We pivoted.
Fucking
right?
word.
Fucking
never going to mean the same thing again.
Scrum certified masters right here. Right. We fucking did it.
This is a legit setup, though. I mean, I don't know if everybody that is listening can just picture how really top-notch professional this is.
We're very professional. We try very hard. I know you want to say something, but John, Colorado Beerman Shikes was the one that said you guys got to go there. He told me that. He said you make fantastic beer, and he was there before you all opened. I think was he here maybe opening day or something?
Yeah, he came a little bit before the rest of the crowd opening day. We had kind of like a press hour.
If you're gonna let somebody in the door ahead of time,
It's the Shikes.
Jonathan's
man.
the man.
It's the Shikes, man.
Co-beer man, right?
Colo
beer man.
Maybe it's Co-beer man.
You only YOLO Colo beer man.
But Kyle and us, we kind of got connected. I think prior to the COVID lockdown, we had set something up to come over here. Obviously, that didn't happen. But then you were a big supporter of the Sip Fest, the old Sip Beer Fest, which we were sitting on $6,000. We got to figure out where the hell to put it.
Fuck, we better do something with that before the tax man comes.
I know. Oh, it'll go away
Buried.
somewhere. Yeah, no.
No. I told a lot of people this was going to charity.
No, it is. We're just, I think probably Left Hand, right? The Left Hand Foundation might be where it goes. So.
I wouldn't give it to the Left Hand Foundation unless they agree to an interview.
Maybe for $6,000 they will. Wow, look at us. Okay, so Barquentine Brewing.
Yeah.
Where are we located?
We're in Edgewater, Colorado,
Okay.
which is just west of Denver.
Okay.
Yeah, it's literally 4 blocks away from Sheridan Boulevard is the dividing line between Denver and Edgewater. Edgewater's this awesome little 1 square mile community that refused to incorporate with all the other cities, mostly because there happened to be some brothels and taverns and stuff in Edgewater that didn't want to adhere to the Denver laws that were as it grew and tore city by city.
I always knew I liked this town.
So wait.
Didn't realize that.
Let's not even. I don't even give a fuck about your story, Kyle. Let's
Yeah,
go
no,
back
please.
to that for now. You told Jay and I as we were walking around that you love history. Is that so Edgewater? What years are we talking about? Just decided.
Oh, I'm
no,
gonna
we're gonna.
butcher this.
That's fine.
87 to 93.
This was just 2 or 3 years
Yeah,
ago.
exactly. Yeah, like full of just brothels.
Quarantine
and-
is what did it really
Oh
for the
my
brothels.
Yeah.
Yeah, this King Supers used to be a brothel.
That
but-
6-foot space is hard for that industry.
Oh, man.
It's hard at home too, to be honest.
But the
so.
truckers love it. You can stop at a place in Kansas and watch some video. Oh, sorry. Shall we recommence here? Okay, so
End of 1800s.
so is it so
Yeah.
you can put Edgewater on an envelope and it'll get here.
Yeah. It's its own municipality, its own police force, its own mayor.
It's like Sheridan, Colorado.
It's better than Sheridan, Colorado.
Oh, it is better.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's much
Sheridan's
better.
where
It's cleaner. It's nicer.
the Schraders live too close to Sheridan. This is a
Well, we
oh,
live too close to all of it these days. But, truthfully, Tanya and I looked at like 11 different houses over here when we bought our first house.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't know why we never pulled the trigger on a couple of them.
Okay.
But this is a great little hood.
Why here? Yeah.
Excellent
why
question.
Did you, why did you choose
What's your
here?
tie to Edgewater? Anything? Brothels?
Well, I live a couple miles away south.
It's close. You just
Wadsworth,
wanted an
yeah.
easy commute.
And when I started brewery hunting, I kind of drew different concentric circles and was like, I want to commute time. I want to minimize to the fullest
Okay.
from a purely
Selfish.
selfish way. Start there. And then as kind of more and more grew, I found other things that really enticed me, especially about this space.
Okay.
It's a public market. It's similar to Stanley in Denver, or Aurora, I guess, is
Yeah,
technically.
yep.
But it's kind of a similar concept where there's a retail space. There's like 8 or 9 kind of artisanal shops and stuff, and then there's about 10 food stalls that were kind of former food trucks, and so it's also a artisanal feel. And then our beer goes through the whole building.
Okay.
Which is kind of cool. So
It's served in all the spaces, or what do you mean when it goes through the whole building?
So people can come in and either bring food in or take a beer out.
They can wander with it.
They can wander.
Got
with
it. Got it.
Which obviously right now there's not a lot of wandering going on. So
Yeah.
we're in the process of expanding out into the parking lot in a big way. We have some huge circus-sized tents out there.
It does look like a circus.
We'll get to that in a
And
second.
there's a lot of carnies employed here. So
You were working here though in Edgewater prior to opening up, correct?
right.
So I guess knowing that you were at Joyride, I guess how did you get in there? I mean, tell us your brewing history.
Yeah, your wife's hot shit. I mean, she's a paralegal, right?
Yeah.
So She married down.
One of us has to
Yeah,
make money.
yeah.
One of us makes beer.
You followed the golden rule, which is
right.
outkick your coverage.
I love that joke.
Exactly. We all did it.
Yeah.
What's your connection to beer? I mean, and we know a little bit about your kind of background, but let's start, I guess, how did you get into beer?
Post-college, I went to film school in Boulder.
Okay. All right.
And post-college, I was kind of aimless where I was going to end up. I was kind of thinking L.A. There was a film industry there.
Yeah.
And then I got drugged. I got dragged.
Drugged.
And maybe you were drugged. Who knows?
I got dragged
Okay.
to...
Drugging?
Yeah, I think
No.
that's it.
It's not it.
20 years of college, I can tell you that's not it.
Okay.
To New York City and started just kind of working on commercials and stuff like that.
Okay.
Set up a little homebrew kit in my 400 square foot apartment in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And did that for about 8 years, and it kind of kept escalating to a point where we started this little club, of which there's been, I think this is the 9th brewery to come out of that little homebrew club.
Holy shit.
Seriously?
Yeah, it was super, super nerdy, super serious.
So what year was this then that you were doing this?
2008.
Okay. So who came out of it?
Wait.
Then? Yeah. Wait.
We got to ask first. That's a good question. But was it a Brooklyn brewing?
It wasn't the Brooklyn Brew Shop,
No,
because they
brew
weren't around
shop,
yet.
brew shop.
Yeah.
Well, I
They
thought
weren't
they
around
started in 7, 8, 9.
yet. Maybe they did.
Yeah.
Maybe they did. There's a lot of good beer in Brooklyn, though.
Yeah.
A
All
lot
right.
of
So
good
yeah,
beer.
who came out of it? Nine breweries came out of
I
this.
won't remember them all off the top of my
Give
head.
us,
It's
like,
hard to
the
fire
top
off.
3.
Fifth Hammer.
Okay.
Let's see. Transmitter, of which I then became a brewer at.
Okay.
He was a club member. LIC Beer Project was kind of had their toes in for a little bit. Some of the other half guys were kind of around. So it was a bunch of breweries, and it was kind of all in stages.
People I think that when we think of East Coast beer, it's often Pennsylvania, or it's often Vermont, or it's often Boston.
Yeah.
The beer that comes out of Brooklyn in particular is insane, right? We've had Josh Bernstein on the show several times. The beer writer, New York Times beer writer. He's never bored with the beer that he drinks. And even the beer bars in Brooklyn I've been fortunate enough to be there and take my kids there, right? Like,
Classy.
God, I know. Well, hey, we drank beer and had a grilled cheese. Like, Josh was a good guy. So
Chicken nuggets are always good.
vegan chicken nuggets. But yeah, I try. But my God, holy shit! So you just fall into this, and you're brewing, you're home brewing. Okay, continue. Sorry. So you're
No worries. So then I had a homebrew accident, the rare homebrew accident of cutting my hand on a broken carboy.
wait.
That
You can't
slice,
see it, right?
yeah.
Okay. He has all of his fingers and toes that I
It
can.
just doesn't straighten fully. It's
okay.
just but who needs a full thumbs up anymore?
Yeah, for sure. All right,
I
so you're brewing
apologize.
beer, you're home brewing, you got a home brewers club, all of that stuff. At what point did you move from that, from attempting to make movies or attempting to participate in breweries or in movies? Excuse me. You cut your finger. Okay, continue.
So when I did that, it was such a disaster of all disasters. It was went to lift a carboy and kind of the bottom seam broke a little loose, and so I figured I'll just lift the whole thing. I'll lift the whole thing to my bathtub where it'll shatter there, and it came down and just guillotined my thumb.
Fuck, I'm
And so
sorry.
there was just this 5 gallons of beer and then a
Gallon of
liter
blood?
go everywhere.
my
And it's,
God.
even though it's January, it's 180 degrees in the apartment somehow. So I have my shirt off, and I run upstairs. The poor girl that lives upstairs. I still think about her sometimes because I run upstairs, barely knew her, met her in the hall twice, and I start pounding on her door. I'm like, I'm Kyle. I live downstairs. I brew beer. I had an accident. I'm covered in blood. She's like, Jesus, get to the hospital. I'll start mopping up your mess down there. So because
Was
of
it
that,
a shared bathroom?
No.
Okay.
I just was like, I gotta leave.
You got to
and
tell
and it's-
somebody.
Yeah. I gotta leave, and there's a lot of beer going everywhere. A lot of wort, I guess, at that point, because it never got to see the light of
Holy
yeast.
shit.
So then, but because of that, I had I couldn't go back to work. I was
going to
working
say,
a camera at the time,
You needed some sort of insurance, is
Yeah.
what it sounds
and I was on a
like.
TV show at the time, so I just ended up taking off the rest of the show and had to get this thumb fixed. So during that time, I got sort of a internship's the wrong word, but I kind of volunteered some time at Greenpoint Beer and Ale in Brooklyn, which then led to a full-time job at Transmitter Brewing. And I was like, well, I don't need camera anymore. This is way better.
What TV show were you filming?
It was a show called Younger.
Totally lost on me.
Yeah,
I have a couple of friends that all had
comedy.
Was it really?
like a Disney Channel type thing.
No, it was the same people that wrote Darren Star, who created Sex and the City and stuff like that. So. I don't know.
It's a good show, actually. It's not terrible.
I don't know that you're the
watched it several.
Yeah,
times.
I'm not the demographic for sure.
You're not. I watched Sex and the City 3 times, all the way through. We'll continue, Jay. You just pick out your beer.
Just
At what
order a
point?
beer.
Like, what was the beer that you brewed in your little 400 square foot apartment?
I'm gonna have a
that
yacht
you
club.
thought you were good enough to do this professionally.
I think that was kind of the cool thing about homebrew in general, and still to this day, I think is we would always say in the club, like when new members would walk in, or just people volunteering even, was like, on this scale, you're going to have some of the best beer you've ever had in your entire life, because you can do things at 5-10 gallons that you would never pull off on 15 barrels or greater, followed by the worst beer you're ever going to have in your entire life.
Yeah.
Because you can do things on you would so I think because of that, I pushed hard, and I dumped a lot of beer. You gotta push hard enough to dump beer.
Yeah.
Thank you for dumping it, because my brother used to force some of the worst fucking homebrew beer on me and act like it tasted good, which is why I don't homebrew, frankly.
So you made it, but I guess how did you talk your dad into starting this thing together with you then? Because I did a little research. You're not on the LinkedIn's, but your dad is. And he's a successful inventor, business person, all of that, right? How did you talk him into going into this endeavor with you?
A lot of beer. It took a lot of beer.
Was he a beer guy?
You're obviously very
before
close.
That? Yeah.
He's a beer guy. Yeah, we're super close. I'm very fortunate in that we're a very tight family. My brothers are pretty involved as well. And so it was just a lot of modeling. We had to prove. I say we, my brothers and I had my brothers are Excel spreadsheet gurus.
Okay.
Excuse me. And so they built this like 40-sheet spreadsheet and we ran like every kind of model we could possibly run.
Okay.
In a lot of different scenarios in a lot of different neighborhoods. You try the rural farmhouse approach, and you try the kind of commercial park, cheaper rent, but is a little bit more of a destination approach. You try the downtown urban, busy vibes, super expensive rent, probably tap room only. There's not going to be a lot of room to do anything else.
Right.
And we just ran through scenario after scenario after scenario, none of which talked about pandemic.
What year were you
that.
doing this? What
We
year?
missed
Was
that
this
model.
2017, 2018?
Why didn't you guys forecast that?
Yeah, we totally biffed, to put it lightly. I would say 2014 we started really digging in, and then
I feel like the story on you and your dad has been on again, off again. Not the relationship, but the story about a father-son brewery. And maybe I'm mixing it up with another one, but has this been fairly public knowledge for several years now prior to you guys opening in this space? I mean, did you have eyes on another location? Were you guys in the works for a while, or am I mixing up my other father-son
you might
duo?
be mixing up one of the other combo platters,
Right,
but
yeah.
it was the kind of thing that I couldn't be that public about because I was still employed.
Gotcha.
And I didn't, want to risk that relationship. And also
That jerk down the road, you didn't want to get it fired.
And in addition too, I wanted to really focus on like what I was doing there. I take beer pretty seriously, and so if I'm kind of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, it made no sense to me. So I kind of committed to a date of like I'm 100% in until I'm 100% out.
Okay.
And
Nice.
it wasn't fair to me or them to be tiptoeing.
But you guys spent 6-ish years putting this together.
Well, we were hunting
Yeah,
constantly
you were serious.
and modeling and doing a little bit of side, And I still homebrewed even while I was there and at Transmitter. Homebrewed every 2 to 3 weeks, depending on what fermentation I had available. But I always had tons of batches going, and tried all kinds of lambics and sours, and had just this. My brother's basement. He eventually moved, and we had to get rid of all of the sour beer that's down there. But it was plentiful. I mean, we filled wooden oak barrels of beer. It was good.
Why Belgian beer? What made you decide to go that route?
I love yeast.
Okay.
Yeah, I geek out on yeast. So I think some of the other styles do a really good job of trying to hide the fact that there's yeast in the beer. Let it ferment fully and then get it out of there.
Right.
Who's your yeast guy?
I use a couple.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
I bounce.
That's all right.
I'm
That's
not,
all right.
like,
No.
secret about it or
It's.
anything.
I think no. I don't assume you're sneaky about it. It's just a curious thing that we either talk to people that are very specific with one yeast company or person, right? Or you get a brewer that's, hey, we're gonna dabble in a little bit of everything because we want a variety. So
I mean, I think that's kind of the joy of being a young brewery is I can play around a lot.
Do what you want.
I
yeah.
do use Inland Island, Propagate, a little bit of White Labs. I use only the local guys, and mostly that's from like a lab standpoint. If I feel like there's a beer's not moving in a direction I like, I can get them on the phone or I can get a sample taken and
Somebody can come in and
Yeah.
look at it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Makes total sense. Sorry. Let's go back to this kind of family business type thing. How in the hell do you make it work? I mean, I know you say your brothers run the Excel spreadsheets and your dad obviously helps you, but do you ever come to blows and all of that when it comes to this thing? Because this is a different kind of endeavor, right? I mean,
Yep.
you're not running an orthopedics business. This is
Right.
craft beer, right? And now in this moment, it's a little bit tougher, I'm sure.
Right, and there's a lot of subjective answers to a lot of this whole process. It's
Okay.
it's not as definitive ones and zeros as a lot of other things. So
Yeah.
we're really communicative. I mean, it helps to like I said, it helps to already have that kind of strong bond, but
Yeah.
we don't always agree, and we
Yeah.
butt heads, and we have to kind of work through it and figure out what is the best right answer.
Okay. How'd you talk your wife into and your family, not your extended family, right? But I mean, now your immediate family. You've got a kid. How did you talk your wife into this project? Because Jay and I have very low overhead to do this. It's hard to talk our families into this. But I mean, if you look at what we're looking at, there's a lot of equipment here. What kind of conversation did you have to have with your wife to open up this little project in a city like Denver where there's a lot of craft beer?
Yeah.
I mean, you're less than 3 blocks from your alma mater,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a I don't know. Hats off, right? That's a tough sell in any
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go look at Dave and say, hey, I'm going to open a brewery down the street in a pretty sick new spot, and then Odell's going to open another spot right around the corner. Nothing wrong with that, but yeah, selling that to a wife sounds like a challenge. What do you
She was harder
know?
to sell.
What do you know that we don't know, or what do you have that we don't have?
She was harder to sell. No, but she, again, just patience and time and communication is sort of like, how do we juggle our time? If I'm going to be here till 9 p.m., then I can't do that every day.
Yeah.
There are times that I'll come in early or stay late, but I can't do both. I'm also a big believer in like a time, what is it?
Work-life balance.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
So
I know how that. I know the nomenclature.
I think there
I don't think I experience it.
I think there are a lot of small business owners too that, I mean, there is a lot of work that goes into it, but I think there's a lot that do unjustified or unnecessary work, or say that, I'm hanging around meeting customers, drinking beer, isn't the same as work.
Yeah.
And so that to me is a different thing. But and then with Joyride and everybody, and Denver beer in general, it's awesome that there's so many breweries because you get the chance to specialize in something like Belgian beer, where I feel like if I was in a much smaller city or less of a beer city, then I'd have to justify the same
everything.
Yeah, I'd have to do the same, the pale ale, blonde, stout, porter,
All that stuff.
combo. But this is, I get to really find a niche, and I think that's why Joyride and I get along, is that I know all their, I don't brew the beer that they brew, and we can sort of coexist and be good neighbors.
Plenty of foot traffic, I'm sure, in between those two places as well. All right, so I think we've covered enough backstory here in the first 25 minutes. you opened up into February, and then a little bit of a Armageddon happened.
Hiccup. We just call it a hiccup.
We call it a
It's
hiccup.
a blip.
Yeah.
Just a slight blip.
We don't like to timestamp this stuff, Sam, but let's lay out a couple of dates here.
So you opened up when?
February 29th,
which was Leap Day. Yeah.
And then you shut down what day?
March 15th.
Oh, my word. Holy shit.
Yeah. Well,
So in the future, is that actually 16 days or is that only 15 days?
yeah, I don't know. And part of the February 29th that I really appreciate was I kind of made a bet with our general contractor who didn't think that I could get open in February.
You got an extra day
I got
out of
that
it.
extra day, which took it.
Yeah.
That's
hell yeah.
fucking awesome,
Don't
actually.
ever let that go away.
You and Michael Scott are...
What were you, I mean, tell us, in those 16 days, what's going through your head? What kind of conversations are happening? Holy shit. I mean, you are a new business. You are 100% a new business. Can you just kind of articulate a little bit what you were thinking in those 16 days?
Yeah, I mean, even in the week leading up to that, my biggest fears were like, is the beer going to be okay? Is it going to be carbonated? Are we going to be able to pour it? Are we going to figure out the POS system? Is there going to be somebody who's overserved or like sneaks in alcohol? Are we going to get sued for something? Is it like that, just scenario after scenario? And then, none of the fears are, what if there's a total and complete shutdown of the whole world?
It's a total...
Literally the fucking world.
Isn't it interesting to talk to a brand new brewery, right? Like days ahead of this shit. And then you think about our guys from Big Grove that have been around for a while. They're established. They're distributing. They're doing a lot of things. And Kyle here's like, are the napkins folded the right
Exactly.
way? And Big Grove's like, we can't fucking go to Germany in the end of February because we're not going to be allowed back in the country. Yeah. And that's no offense to anybody, right? But it's just like there's so much that goes into starting a brewery that I can't imagine that COVID-19 was on your radar in terms of do we or do we not open, do we or do we not do this or that.
Yeah, literally 2 days before we opened, we found out from our CO2 provider that we actually needed to get a lot more fire protection than we had already gotten the stamp, we thought. We had already been approved by the fire department, we thought. And then there was this extra little like this fine print that nobody caught that we needed more alarm, more CO2. Because at that point, Edgewater was sort of following Jefferson County and West Metro, which was different than Denver County, which was much more strict and regimented on CO2 detection, stuff like that. So anyway, long story short, the 2 days before we opened, we were like, what if we don't have CO2? And so our CO2 company had to bring in like 20 cylinders that were small enough that they fit into the classification of a different. So we just had all these CO2 tanks back there. We're like, well, we're going to have to change the valve from one to the next.
My God.
And then it went away. The problem went away the next day. And we were like, oh, that was a worry.
Wow. Because they didn't care or because they prioritized something different?
It wasn't really a care. It was sort of the...
Should we even be talking about it?
I don't know, and I still don't think anyone was 100. We were convinced that the rules changed, the code changed during construction because we were approved early in construction.
Gotcha.
And then at the end, we find a fine print that didn't exist in the earlier.
Sounds
copies.
like a cluster.
It was a bit of a cluster, but we're here.
You guys, hey, I was blown away at the amount of people sitting at the picnic tables in the circus area.
You've done such a good job of
the big
spacing
top.
everybody out too. This is
Yeah.
amazing. My God, this place is beautiful.
Let's talk boats. Let's talk boat theme.
Boats and hoes.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we chatted about this off air a little bit, but Barquentine.
That's a joke. Yes. I mean, I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure Sam edits out way more of me for that reason. Whenever he clicks something, there's a reason. Barquentine strikes me as a boat word. I should have done more research. It's a boat, right? It's a type of boat.
Just glad to have you back on air.
Talk to us. Well, you've done a good job lately of feeding me some information ahead of these.
It's a lot easier over a Zoom
the old
chat
Skype.
to say,
Yeah.
Jay, ask this
Yeah,
next.
yeah.
Well, it's not a good question if you know the answer already.
It's
right?
a boat thing. It's a boat
It's
thing.
not good conversation if you just come in knowing everything.
No, I don't know shit. That's the beauty of the interview. Brad's here.
Can I try the fair weather friend? Brad, my man.
Copperclad, please.
Oh, see, I went the wrong direction.
It's okay.
No,
Thank
I
you so much.
usually do. I get excited about the big stuff.
Why boats?
Why boats? Sloan's Lake?
No, so Barquentine, it's first of all, I'm sure when you were looking at Unfiltered, everything, like there's names for days. I'm obsessed. I have notebooks of names that, I got real serial killery on I had strings drawn from the maps.
I don't think we put nearly that much effort into it.
You put panties on your face
Of course.
from neighbors' homes.
Yeah.
I gotta find my chi.
It puts the lotion on its skin.
Exactly.
We're
I'd
pulling
fuck
all
me so
sorts of
hard.
stuff out for this.
No, you
for
dig
this
so
interview.
deep into names, and then you start to just see trends of the same things over and over and over. And no shame to that. I mean, there just is some words that work really well, and some combinations of a negative adjective to a noun.
Yeah.
Is a common.
Well, you're a film guy. You get it. You know how to put the pieces together.
Yeah.
You know how to make a good montage. You've seen some Sergei Eisenstein. Excuse me. I got my bachelor's in film. FYI.
I'm saying
I swear.
Where at?
Iowa.
I have a lot of film friends, and none of them
Yeah.
moved to beer the way that Kyle here did.
No,
So
now there's two of us.
there's three of you.
I
Actually,
brewed beer in my basement
Ian
last
is
week.
he's in a film guy. He was on The West Wing for a while. Ian McRae, shout out.
No shit.
Name drop.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's actually got an IMDb profile that I'm not allowed to update the photo on.
Yeah.
But
Thank you, sir.
I want to hang.
He's
I
about
wanna
to be
hang
replaced.
the BFA in my office.
Do you have? Oh wow.
I don't know where it is. I'm sure my parents maybe have it.
That's pretty
I hope
badass.
so.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I
Holy
think it'd be
shit.
funny.
you
Okay,
should
so
blow it
sorry.
up and put it on the side of a fucking can
Yeah.
of beer.
I'm
serious.
And honestly, maybe that's why my dad agreed to it, because he was like, "Well, you sort of didn't do the school portion of your life right, so maybe I'll ride along for this."
Let's just go down this path even
Yeah.
further
Maybe I should go back to holding your hand
with a
through
little bit
this.
of oversight. Yeah. So it wasn't like he was trying to correct a behavior. He was encouraging further bad behavior with a little bit more.
With that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I like it. I like the thinking. I'm a dad. Fucking 18 and they're out. That's all there is to it.
It's just done. It's done. So okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Why the boat?
So Barquentines, that gets back to when you're staring at names. So here's the location. We're in a marketplace. It's all this food. It's all these vendors. It's a lot of hustle and bustle. Less hustle and bustle currently, but will be by the time you get around to putting this up, we'll be
back
at
to
full
normal.
capacity.
We'll be totally
Yes.
fine.
2 years from now, I don't know.
Dude, is our delay that? Are we
the
that
turnaround
far
is on-
behind?
Don't worry, wait till the vaccine comes out in 2027.
There you
So
go.
yeah.
Hey, if you're looking for a new brewery, you got your mask, you got your hydroxychloroquine, and
Can't give that out anymore.
well, thank
The
God
FBI
for
said-
that.
Exactly. Maybe not. There's a lot of good people that could have died from that. That probably needed to go anyway.
Actually,
So,
that's true. What do they say? Throw a little chlorine in the gene pool.
Exactly.
I'll put it next to my toilet paper hoarding stash I
Oh
have
my
back there.
god.
Dude.
Okay, so you're experimenting with names. Continue.
And I wanted to play into the marketplace feel, and so and stay in the old world tradition of this is Belgian beer.
Yeah.
And I found this cool story of Barquentines rolling into Antwerp, which is one of the biggest ports in all of Europe. Still is one of the biggest ports
That's
in the
in
world.
Belgium, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Very good, Jay.
Yeah. Hey.
And in the late 1800s, early 1900s, these ships would roll in, and vendors, merchants would come out and pull off all their provisions for the day.
Okay.
Probably including monks, although I couldn't really check
Validate that,
But
yeah.
I'm still looking for some.
Need a good piece.
We
of
can
evidence.
introduce you to some monks, but I could.
So Barquentines were kind of the vessel that would bring the beer, bring the ingredients around. It's kind of, there's this old farmhouse ale tradition.
Yeah.
Phil Markowski talks about it in Farmhouse. that's kind of being debunked right now, sadly. There's all these articles that are coming out in other books that are like, well, it wasn't as farmhousey as we think. There was a lot of this shipment of huge amounts of barley and hops coming from the rest of Europe to Central Europe.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I mean, there probably is some truth to some of it, but like Liege brewed year-round, where I think the story of the Saison is that it's just brewed in the winter for workers using only local ingredients. There's probably some breweries did that, but there's also a lot of evidence now that's showing that, like, no, a lot of this stuff came in large shipments of, and so that's the third element is I want to kind of modernize and sort of a antique's the wrong word, historic way of making beer.
That's a really good point. Like, we retell the story of beer in a very ancient way, as if it were 2000 BC ancient Greece. No, we're talking
200 years.
It's not that long ago. We're talking 500 years ago.
Mid 1900s.
Yes, exactly. And even for sure. I mean, Europe's pretty civilized by then. There's boats and shit and rivers and all of that. And there's there's trade happening, right? It's the introduction of political economy and all that stuff. So yeah, that makes total sense. Then that's actually a fresh story to kind of hear.
I'd like to see some of those books. I'd be curious to look at some of the old school versus new theory. Is a Barquentine boat, though, is that a flat...
Is that a barge?
Vessel that it's more... I'm thinking more like a...
I think the technical definition is it has to be a three-masted ship.
Oh, fuck.
Where the front mast is square, and the other two can be triangles. So they're a little bit... When you picture your traditional pirate ship, that's a bark.
Okay.
And it's spelled either B-A-R-K or B-A-R-Q-U-E. That's your pirate ship is a bark.
And those you drop the teen on it.
Intercontinental. That's for long travel. Barquentines are just a little bit dartier.
Gotcha.
They're functional.
So it's got nothing to do with necessarily the shape of the ship, but the shape of the sail.
No, I'm looking at it here. It's very
much.
It's a cargo vessel.
Of course, you're looking it up,
right?
Well, I thought it was a cargo ship of some kind, but I was thinking more like like a barge. Did you say barge? Like I'm thinking like a flat deck.
It's a relatively flat ship.
Is it? All right.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
So there's no cannons.
We're checking the facts. The guy who opened up a fucking
I know he did it himself.
A brewery
fucking
called
wall's
Barquentine.
got a painting of a boat thing on it.
That was actually really important in the architecture, though, because the architect kept trying to bring in, like, how do we put sails in here? Where do we put a steering wheel? And he didn't say this, but then we started adding can we have a parrot? Do we have?
Where's the pirate flag? Where's the pirate flag?
You just play Jimmy Buffett all the time.
Nothing but. Or dun 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 dun.
Hey ho! Yes.
So
and then you fired him.
This is actually why I keep coming back to this, because it doesn't feel like a trip to.
It's a fucking industrial ship.
No,
and I love it.
That's what I'm saying.
I like that.
It's
feel.
very subtle. You don't walk in here and think I'm at fucking.
It's not gimmicky.
What's the name of that stupid
Gimmicky's
movie?
the word
What's
we
the
use.
stupid movie named after the ride at Disneyland?
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Thank you, Pirates of the Caribbean.
I always
You
thought
don't feel
looked like Johnny Depp.
I know.
but
I
guess
could not think of this.
Yeah, no.
It doesn't feel like Pirates of the Caribbean.
But when you start to look around, you see.
But you feel. Yeah,
He's
you
the guest. You
you're
stop
good.
talking.
Go ahead.
I'm the guest, technically, from this perspective, because I feel
It's
the
been
boat.
a while.
I feel the boat thing. It has been a while. I'm not in charge anymore. I've never been in charge. I feel the boat thing. That's what it comes down to, like the blue paint
God, I love it.
and the barrel staves on the ceiling. It's just you guys
Cool spot.
You guys did a fucking badass job.
That barrel light, I mean, there's two in there. One is a red wine barrel, one's a white wine barrel. That thing weighs, I think, 50 million pounds.
Yeah?
I don't know.
I'm thinking it looked
Seems
good
a
over
little-
my.
That seems
It took-
like a lot.
It took 20 of us to lift it. It was incredibly heavy because it's all steel and then soaked
barrel
oak.
staves, yeah. And predominantly steel. Now that I look a little closer, I think that thing looked amazing over my bed. My wife might disagree.
I promised myself I would ask some tough questions. You're a young guy. You and I are roughly the same age, and Jay's a little bit
What are
older
you
than us.
implying?
Craft beer's been pretty good about the LBGTQ community, right? I know you're doing a lot of things here in Edgewater for that. Let me ask you, what's craft beer not bringing to the Black Lives Matter movement? Craft beer has missed the boat so many times on this thing. And Jay and I talked about Founders last week with Matt Swift. Craft beer should do better. What are you doing that's better?
It's an awesome time in human history. I think it's a very unique time in human history where like change is happening. You know, the snowball is moving, and it's in a very, very positive way and in a great light. As a business owner, you really need to say something. You really need to do something. What is the rightest thing to do is the hardest part. And we have lengthy conversations because we care very, very deeply about the topic. And there's like nothing but love and inclusivity and equality in our hearts. And how do you articulate that? And is this the platform? Is often
And I guess I ask because I think, but craft beer has always tied itself to this revolutionary thing, right? And Jay and you and I have talked about this with you know, if you think about barrel aged stout and selling out, the first half of that book is all about the revolution of craft beer, and craft beer being the fuck you to the man and all of that.
It's a cycle,
it's tied
and it's
to this thing.
It's constantly evolving for sure.
And as we move more towards craft beer being this kind of place that is an urban space that is allowed for the tap room and all of this stuff, you're going to get those kind of confluence of identities and all of this. And so it makes sense that you have folks that are making that Black Lives Matter beer, right? And beers that are made by folks of color. It's just it's almost as if Colorado isn't doing what I want them to do quite yet. It's craft beer is always first to do the LBGTQ thing, but when it comes to lives of color, right? Well, that's not for craft beer. It's something like that. And so that's that kind of gets me, because I think that identity, that idea to kind of push the envelope a little bit, it makes sense for craft beer. That's why I kind of asked that question, if that makes sense.
No, I think it's a great question, and it's a very timely question, and it's not an easy topic to talk about because it is important. I think there are some easy beer topics, right?
Yeah.
But this is one that
I felt comfortable asking that question because I think I'm vibing off your vibe, and you would have given an honest
it's
response.
hard to say, and maybe the accessibility of craft beer isn't there. It's certainly not the flavor, because there are so many flavors that can reach everybody.
Yeah.
Anything. We had a lengthy conversation this Saturday. We're doing Edgewater's doing kind of a small town pride march that ends at the public market. We had a lengthy conversation about we want to make a donation to something that we feel very strongly for, and it was a lot of charities were brought to the table. A lot were discussed between all the leadership here, and we sort of landed on the Marsha P. Johnson Foundation because it gives a voice to a lot of marginalized or underspoken for communities, and we felt like that was the best use of like right now Pride time. But to do that, we had to listen, and so we polled a lot of our friends and said, what should we do? How do we do the thing that would make the most people happy and be the right thing?
Yeah.
And Edgewater is a very
It's a diverse
community. I mean, for a tiny little pocket in a big fucking city, Edgewater, I think, covers so many different demographics. Probably better.
Yeah.
Truthfully, this is not pandering. This is, honest to God, my opinion that Edgewater probably encompasses so many more demographics of people than the rest of the Metro Denver area. And you have to, I don't want to say stand out, but you have to be a part of that. And I don't think that you're not at this point. I mean, hopefully you will continue to be.
We need
I'm
to
sure you will.
find. Maybe Kyle should read up and be our guest host for. We need to tell the.
You're always looking to replace me. You
No.
motherfucker. Always looking to replace me.
No, we should tell the story
He's got a
of
stack
beer.
of resumes, you know it.
No, every once in a while there's a guest fucking host, and I'm like,
It's Brock. It's always Brock.
no, it was that one guy that owns the AV company that kept talking about his first beer, and I'm just like,
God, I
oh,
don't even
man.
remember that.
Seed Stock Brewery, I remember.
No, there's a story.
What do
to
you
be
want
told
Kyle
there,
to get?
right? I mean, but we've talked about this before. And this is the distinct separation between European beer and American macro beer. was that Coors and AB, in a lot of ways, decided that they were only going to sell that beer to certain kind of identities. And they spent a lot of marketing money, and and automatically that separates different kind of people from drinking that beer. And I think Coors probably doesn't deserve to get blamed for it. I do think it's AB in a lot of ways. It's Pabst in a lot of ways, right? It's those kind of Midwestern breweries that say, okay, we can sell this beer to the factory worker. It's going to taste like shit, but it's going to get them drunk.
Well, never mind.
It's refreshing.
Ask me offline, because I actually have a rebuttal to that.
But, I mean, what did Jed Belstock tell us, right, when we went to Dos Luces? Right, and we kind of learned about how Mexican lager is not in any way Mexican lager. Right?
Yeah.
Like that is not.
It's
Mexican
American
beer.
lager made in Mexico.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
but I'm
about
thinking,
it.
From this perspective, if we're talking about marketing to a demographic that's going to buy beer, I think you look at AB and you look at Coors, and they're one and the same. Frankly, I mean,
we should have pushed on Ken higher a little bit more.
Well,
because he would have.
Frankly, that's what I'm getting at. Is AB is pushing Pabst to the factory worker, and Coors Light was pushing Twins, and I don't know that one is more guilty or less guilty. Not to throw Uncle Ken under the bus.
No, he did. We didn't ask that question.
I know.
I'm playing golf with him on Saturday, so I should ask
thanks
him.
for that invite.
Well, you're not good enough. Sorry. Let's be totally honest. It's got to be a competitive match. It's for my birthday and for Father's Day, so there's a good little 4-man match. Your handicap's a little high, Jay. Sorry. I asked Brian. I asked your brother.
Happy birthday.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
No, it's late.
Made it to 36.
Fuck off. Apparently. You know what? Next year on your birthday,
I think we should.
I'm making you golf with me.
I wanted to ask that just because I think
it's
get the
super
sense.
important to talk about, and I think it's.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of other businesses and breweries are all dealing with. It's because it is such an important thing, and shit is happening. Yeah. That's why it's cool, and it's how do you?
Well, let's be honest.
You try to say a good thing, and
shit happens.
It
doesn't matter if it's right to you, or if it's right at the moment, or if it's right for everything you stand for. It's not right for one person or one group or one.
But if this thing, right? If this business model is now the new bar. Right, if this is now the new local tap, every single community needs a local tap. Every single community needs a place they can go to have a beer and shoot pool and all of that. And what does that look like if you're a craft brewery?
And here we are. See, we could do this all night.
Yeah.
We can. There's so many other dimensions.
He's got a free night.
He's coming down to Spice Trade.
It's the first time I've had beer in 3 weeks.
We'll all finish these beers, and then we'll go interview another brewery, and then we'll just keep.
Yeah, moving along.
Shit happens, dude. It's dangerous.
We had that kind of little bit of a runway where we're like, we're probably going to open someday. We don't know the rules, but we know there's going to be limited seating. And as we kind of looked at other states and found out, like, there's going to be 6 feet, we talked about doing what a lot of places are doing, like, reservations or different like cleanliness things, or keeping people apart. Sorry, I tripped over my words because I got distracted.
They're good, yeah.
The camera always throws everybody off.
The camera comes out and then like you can't. Dude,
I remember my first
smiling.
My first iPhone.
I leaned in.
I did a stagey like I'm talking.
Hey, the best part about this shit is that I gotta wear this thing and it covers up my little turkey gobble.
Gobble, gobble, gobble.
So
let me
I just realized that. Yeah, let's back this up. 10 seconds. Go.
So when we looked at like how the reopening model and what was possible, one of the things that a lot of breweries are doing is like reservations and no kids, and you have to be drinking to stay. And once you don't have any more beer, you're out. And you have time limits, or you have group limits, or there's just so many rules that kept compounding. And
there's no shower curtains in Barquentine, by the way.
No, but we went through the guidelines, Colorado guidelines, and said let's follow all of these. But I don't care how long people stay. I don't care if you have a beer in front of you or not. I don't care. This is a place of comfort, and it will forever be a place of comfort and a place of safety. And like it's because some people want to have strong discourse while they have beer, and some people want to fuck off and like have a beer.
Yeah.
And sometimes the beer's at the forefront of the conversation. Sometimes it's in the background of something else that's going on in your life, and to me is just a comfortable space.
This is a comfortable space, by the way. I appreciate that statement more. If I could hug this guy,
I know.
I don't know him very well, but I would hug
You
him.
weren't horribly infected.
Yeah, I'm
you're
a fucking.
You're the safest of everyone here.
For the record, I was sick and diseased before all this shit started, and it's a whole other list of shit. So.
Listeners, we're going to cut this off because there's more conversation we had after this, and we'll continue it some other day. But, to reach an hour limit in order for me to post this and actually get people to listen to it, I'm going to cut it off. Kyle, where can we follow you? What's your website? All of that stuff.
Website is barquentinebrewing.com.
Okay.
There's a Q in there.
Yeah, Barquentine. Yeah, I always just say it like it's BARQUEN.
Like Bark Beer.
Just
Bark
let
beer.
him.
TINE.
Okay.
What do you mean Barks has bite?
Barquentine.
You're fantastic on the socials.
No, this was great.
So, yeah.
I don't know
Social
anything about.
media,
I don't
we're
know
on
anything about
Instagram,
socials.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Barquentine Brewing.
TikTok.
He used to have a mustache not too long ago, and he shaved it.
I committed to that mustache, not thinking it was going to be
Oh
a 3-month.
fuck! Sam's got no hair, and he's been hiding it.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
You guys saw your kids did that?
Yeah, I let my kids shave my head.
How'd that go?
It was great.
It looks better now.
Him
It
for
looks
a couple hours.
better now than it did with the Friar Tuck.
Yeah,
That's for
exactly.
sure.
Couple hours?
Yes, yeah. Well, we'll get to it. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed this show. It was good to see Jay Schrader in public again. It's been a while.
Might be the last time for a while again.
Kyle, who the fuck are the Knudsons? It was a blast talking to you. We're going to continue this conversation. I wish we had some sort of subscription model in which
The after hours version is getting popular.
We should just record this thing after. But thanks everybody for supporting the show. You know where to follow us. Just go to unfilteredcraft.com. Everything you need there for video, for audio, for all the socials is right there. All right. What, Jay?
This is getting a little cheesy.
Cheers. Cheesy
Yeah.
cheers.
Cheers indeed.
Fuck you both.
Thanks, Kyle.
When they come to take